Last winter, the Yankees handed out a 6-year, $162 million contract, not just to a pretty good pitcher, but to somebody that Aaron Boone called a second ace. It's not hard to see why he sang his praises, as Carlos Rodon posted a 2.67 ERA across 55 starts, striking out nearly 34% of batters faced, and looking like one of the best pitchers in the entire sport. Projections had Carlos Rodon going toe-to-toe with Gerrit Cole as one of the best pitchers in the American League, and while Gerrit Cole would go out and win the AL Cy Young Award unanimously, Rodon would suffer multiple injuries and setbacks before getting back on the mound in July. When he was on the mound, he was downright awful, with his strikeout rate dropping to 22.4% and his ERA climbing as high as 6.85 across 14 starts. The Yankees couldn't figure out his command of the mound, and he was a disaster for the Bronx Bombers, but entering 2024, he is the X factor for the Yankees rotation, and the team's ceiling lies squarely on whether the left-hander could be a reliable starter or not and live up to the hype he had when he came to the Bronx. Hello everybody, I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and before we get into today's video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know of our next upload. We're uploading podcasts daily, and we have content that you guys do not want to miss out on, so make sure you join the Fireside family today and get caught up on all things Yankees related. And with that out of the way, let's get into today's video. The Yankee rotation is full of question marks, and most of these questions start with Carlos Rodon, but is his stuff good anymore? It's easy to see how fans would immediately dismiss the idea that Carlos Rodon can bounce back. Not only did he get constantly shelled, but he was also hurt for most of the season. It's hard to get back on track when you're constantly fighting injuries, and it's not as if Rodon was known as a durable starter before this. Injuries have always been an issue for him, and in Chicago, it's why they didn't offer the qualifying offer and why the White Sox let him walk to the Giants in the first place. His medicals have always been concerning for teams, and while Carlos Rodon is one of the most talented pitchers in the world, those injuries will always present an obstacle that he has to hurdle. It's not as if projections don't like Rodon. Steamer believes he'll finish in the top 20 in WAR with a 3.78 ERA across 166 innings, and Stuff Plus base projections have him at a 3.92 ERA across 167 innings pitched. Considering that runs were up last year and could be up again this year with the shortened pitch clock, that's roughly 15% to 20% better than average run prevention, which the Yankees would certainly take. His Stuff Plus numbers were pretty much in line with his 2022 numbers, as he had a 111 Stuff Plus in his 64 innings of work this year and a 114 Stuff Plus in his excellent 2022 campaign, with his fastball taking a hit in pitch quality. His four-seamer is largely dinged by his start in Colorado, which makes sense given how four-seamers lose some of their vertical riding Coors Field, and it did look a lot better following his return from the second IL stint, although the results weren't there to show it. He typically averages around 18 inches of vertical break, so if that's what you're seeing, that means you have a good Carlos Rodon fastball. Although again, his release points, his command, all of it was off last year, so there were moments where he would throw a fastball and it would be completely off of the norm for his pitch shapes. Same thing happened with his slider, where some of his sliders would back up on him, some of them would cut more than they would sweep, or some of them would have more ride than they should, and overall, command was the biggest thing that Rodon was missing. He'd leave fastballs and sliders over the middle of the plate, and when he didn't have one of those two pitches, it meant that he was vulnerable to damage contact, especially after the first time through the order. The penalty for pitchers who only have two pitches or primarily rely upon two pitches going through a lineup multiple times is significantly higher than pitchers with a wider array of pitches, and while Rodon can have success as a two-pitch pitcher, with how poor his command was, it often meant that teams were able to tee off of him for home runs and big hits. The big thing here is that the stuff is still as good as it was in 2022. If we saw a dramatic hit to his velocity or pitch movement, it would indicate that injuries have caught up to him entirely and that he's washed, but this seems to be a command-centric issue. Command usually returns after velocity when we're talking about a pitcher returning from injury, which makes sense. Getting a feel for your pitches can take time, but if Rodon is never healthy, he can never get that sample size to get his feel back. Is there anything the Yankees can do to help him avoid these blow-up starts and potentially give him a little more cushion if he doesn't have his fastball or slider? Making changes to a pitcher first and foremost requires finding a tweak or adjustment they could make that makes them better, but it also requires buy-in from both the player and the organization. If Carlos Rodon can improve anything going into 2024, it's most likely adding a reliable third pitch, and while he has a curveball and changeup, I don't believe either of the two pitches qualify as a reliable offering. With that being said, I do believe we could look at a cutter as a pitch he could excel with. Cutters are an excellent contact management pitch that can be used for called strikes and weak batted balls, and we saw Gerrit Cole win a Cy Young Award thanks in part to the addition of a brand new cutter. This cutter was one of his most dynamic pitches and created an offering he could use that played well off of his fastball and slider to work in between those two movement profiles to allow him to have a third pitch that can keep hitters honest and prevent them from cheating on the fastball or slider when one of the two aren't working. We saw how aggressive the Yankees are with cutter usage, with Nestor Cortez leaning on it in his second stint with the Bronx Bombers, and Clark Schmidt also adding one last season. A cutter would be a seamless addition to Rodon's pitch mix as a guy who naturally gets around the ball, as evidenced by the sweep he can generate on his slider and the lack of arm side run on his fastball. The ability to command a third pitch would be crucial for Carlos Rodon as he tries to bounce back, and it could also put less stress on his arm and allow him to pick his spots to bring up the velocity and get strikeouts. He's tinkered with velocity management in his career, as you can see him throw a fastball let's say at 93 miles an hour over the heart of the plate, and then try to gas it up to 99 when he really needs it to put a batter away, and Garrett Cole did a similar thing this past season. The pitch clock created a lot of problems for pitchers, and Rodon might have been one of them, with limited time to adjust and barely any time in spring training to adapt to the lack of rest between pitches. Some people have also pointed out they didn't look like he was in the best of shape, and I attribute that to the layoff between rehabs and recovery that don't allow you to get work in and stay in tip-top shape. Personally, I think we're going to see a reinvigorated version of Carlos Rodon this season, and this cutter could be a big part of those tweaks. It doesn't have to be a high usage pitch either, with it fitting in between his four-seamer and slider in terms of horizontal and vertical movement, and he can throw batters off and get effective swings and misses or soft contact whenever he throws it. Whatever Carlos Rodon and the Yankees decide to tweak, one thing is clear, and that's that the Yankees desperately need for him to be that guy next year. The rotation is relying on him, and if they don't get the outcome they're looking for from the southpaw, the 2024 Yankees aren't going to live up to expectations. It cannot be understated just how important Carlos Rodon is to this team's success next year. The Yankees traded pitching depth for Juan Soto not only because they plan on adding pitching this winter, but also because they believed in what they currently had. Michael King was a heavily coveted starter by the front office, and for good reason. He has a chance to be one of the better pitchers in baseball, and he'll likely excel in San Diego due to his dominant four-pitch mix, and Johnny Brito and Randy Vasquez were depth arms who could have aided the rotation in times of injury or need. Furthermore, Drew Thorpe was an MLB-ready prospect, and he was dealt by the Yankees as well, as they really gutted their MLB pitching depth for a chance at Juan Soto, and that plan hinges on guys like Carlos Rodon showing up in 2024. If he doesn't, it'll be a stain on Brian Cashman for a long time, and most importantly, the team will fall short of their World Series aspirations. Even if the Yankees were to add a guy like Jordan Montgomery, they need Rodon to anchor this staff. We've seen starters get off to poor starts in their contract and just turn it around, with Jose Barrios and Yu Darvish being prime examples of pitchers who just didn't have it in year one and turn it around in the year after. I still believe the Yankees have a high quality arm in Carlos Rodon. The talent is undeniable, and the team signed him for a reason. This organization has done an excellent job with pitchers under Matt Blake and Sam Breen, but this isn't a matter of player development or coaching, but one of health or change. There is going to be a lot of pressure on Carlos Rodon to perform. He's already drawn plenty of ire among Yankee fans and the New York media, and this is an unforgiving environment. He's got 5 more years in the Bronx, and if he has a big year in 2024 and helps guide the Yankees to a World Series title, all will be forgotten from this past season. Banners fly forever, and here's what I believe that Carlos Rodon can contribute in 2024. We'll probably get around 150 innings of Carlos Rodon next season, and I believe in those innings we'll see a 3.60 ERA with a slower start to the year and a stronger second half as he gets used to the new pitch clock and potentially works in any adjustments he may have had over the winter. This could be a really nice year for the left-handed starter, and while I'm not predicting any Cy Young votes or All-Star appearances, I am predicting that he has a positive impact on the New York Yankees in 2024 and makes his presence felt as one of the better starters in the American League once again. How well do you think Carlos Rodon will perform next year? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can join the Fireside family. You can also check out our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page. We appreciate you guys sticking around through the end of the video. Shout out Danny for the graphics, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.